Has anyone ever said to you, I'm waiting for my ship to come in? Well, I have two questions for them. Number one, do you even know what your ship looks like? And number two, once it does come in, who is leading your ship? So let me ask you, if you're sitting on the shore waiting for your ship to come in, if you're one of those folks that expects it to come right up to you, well, then I'm going to suggest maybe that your ship probably looks like a pirogue. And if you are from the Gulf Coast, you know what a pirogue is. Nice, small, little flat bottom boat, comes right up to you. They're excellent for navigating the swamps of Louisiana. But I'm not so sure I want that as my ship. It took me 25 years just to figure out what my ship looked like. And I'm going to tell you, my ship is the size of a cruise ship. Now, the only problem with that is every time it comes in, it has a tendency to run aground. So, I looked to some of the masters of leadership for the advice on how to make sure that my ship came in. Did I go to Jack Welch? No. Did I happen to go to John Maxwell? No. I went to the ultimate for leadership advice, Jonathan Winters. And he is credited with saying, if your ship isn't coming in, then by golly, you should swim out to it. And I said, that's great advice. So I put on my slicks and I started swimming. The only problem with that is halfway out there, I was giving out. So what did I do? I made the decision, I'm going to come back to shore and think about this a little bit. So there I am on shore looking at my ship out there, trying to figure out how can I get to my ship. And I decided that I needed to go to the only place where you can find the tools to get to your ship. And after much deliberation, I decided to go to Home Depot. So as I go to Home Depot and I'm walking up and down the aisles looking for the tools that I needed to get to my ship, I got some great advice. Little fella says, oh, here it is, dinghy in a box. So I tapped my dinghy in a box back to shore, and I, just like everyone else, began to blow up my dinghy. And that has more meanings than one. So as I am blowing up my dinghy and trying to figure out how am I going to get from the shoreline where I am to the ship, which is my dream, I find that I have one small problem. My dinghy in a box only came with one oar. So how many of you are trying to get between your shore and your ship with only one oar? It's tough. But you know what? It can be done. It can be done. So there I am. I've got my dinghy blown up and I am paddling like crazy between my shore and my ship, only to find out there's a lot that happens between your shore and the ship. I learned 9 key things sitting in that dinghy. The first is you cannot get to your ship unless you have vision. Each and every one of us have to have vision. And what that means to us, we have to know what our ship looks like. You have to know where you're going. The second thing I learned while paddling in that dinghy is I've got to trust. I had to trust this guy back at Home Depot to tell me, okay, Mrs. Stiles, yes, this dinghy in a box will get you from shore 1 to your ship. The third thing I had to do was I had to have patience. You know what? You cannot put a 250 horsepower Evinrude on the back of a dinghy. It's just not going to work. But you know what? If I am paddling and I lose focus, what happens if you paddle with just one arm? And if you're on one side, you end up going around in circles, don't you? Well, in this case, you have to focus. You have to switch hands. So every once in a while, you have to be able to change your tack to get to your ship. At last but not least, you have got to have relationships that are good and solid to make it to your ship. So as you paddle up alongside your ship, that the crew member looking over says, ahoy, Captain, come aboard. Now I want to ask you, when you get onto your ship, some of us think we've made it. On a daily basis, I'll tell you, there are times when I think I'm standing on my ship. And I am the leader of my ship, and I'm feeling really good. But I want to tell you, the day comes when you walk to the back deck of your ship, and you should not see open water. You should see a fleet behind you, because from your ship, it is going to take you to another ship. So I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, are you in the dinghy, or are you on the deck of your ship? And it's okay. Once you reach your ship, you're going to have to get back in that dinghy every once in a while to remind yourself of all of the principles that you've learned in your dinghy to make it to your ship.